political influences rules the country. Law was in the backseat. It was not in... Yes, in the administration of justice, it is the physical force that has been used to control, to maintain a peace and tranquility in the society. But that does not mean the law has no power. Yes, law is there. The sovereign uses the law, not for their own purpose, but for the protection of the right of the people to maintain peace and tranquility in the society, of which they are bound under the law. Now, so what we need to do, we need to combat corruption, make law stronger to influence political changes. So 3 things can be done. The police, politicians, and the bureaucrats should be accountable. They must come under the law. Rights are protected irrespective of status. The status cannot be tamed. Right is everybody's right. Be it a simple citizen or somebody like me who is a teacher, or maybe any big who is sitting in the top of the helm of the power. Especially often we talk about the executive. They think they are the more powerful than the others. But they are only just as a citizen of Bangladesh. Lastly, institutions and not individual should hold authority. The authority should be with the institutions, and they should see that we are being ruled by the rule of law, not by power. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. President, Chief Guest, Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed, delegates from the foreign missions, embassies, and high commissions, distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to you all. A very good morning to you all. Today, I speak on a vision that had stirred the hearts of generations, inspired movements, and written the story of our nation. The transition from rule by power to rule of law, and the dream of a truly democratic Bangladesh. When our forefathers fought for liberation in 1971, they did not fight merely to change flag or borders. They fought to build a nation where the will of the people would reign supreme, where power would serve justice, not dominate it. Currently, the cry of a new Bangladesh is not a just slogan, it's a promise of freedom, dignity, and equality under the law. But let us ask ourselves honestly today, have we truly fulfilled that promise? Too often, our history since independence has been marked by the rule of power instead of the power of rules. We have seen the rise and fall of governments, not through the ballot box, but through the back door of political manipulation and might. We have witnessed times when fear silenced truth, when loyalty replaced merit, and when the people's voice was muffled by the noise of authority. This is not the democracy we dreamt of. This is not the Bangladesh that our martyrs died for. Democracy is a belief that every citizen matters. And for that belief to live, election must be free, fair, and fearless. Without that, democracy becomes a shell, a performance, not a practice. When people lose their faith in election, they lose faith in the system itself. And when that faith dies, what remains is not democracy, but desolation. The rule of law means no one, not even the most powerful, stands above justice. It means accountability replaces impunity. It means the police serve the people, not politics. It means courts defend truth, not privilege. And most importantly, it means the power flows from the people and returns to them through their votes. But let us remember, democracy is not gifted. It is earned, achieved. It demands courage, the courage to speak out against injustice, to tolerate dissent, and to respect differences. It demands sacrifice, the willingness to put country above self and truth above convenience. To move from rule by power to rule of law, we must rebuild trust in our institutions, in our leaders, and in one another. That begins with one simple yet powerful act, a free and fair election. A fair election is not just a political event. It is a moral covenant between the government and its people. It says, we trust you to choose your future. It restores dignity to every citizen, no matter how rich or poor, urban or rural. It transforms the helpless voter into the heartbeat of the nation. My friends, the world has changed, but the principles of democracy retain eternal. In this age of information, the citizens of Bangladesh are more aware, more connected, and more determined than ever. We no longer accept silence as stability, nor oppression as order. We demand transparency, justice, and accountability, not as privilege, but as of right. Let us therefore rise above the politics of division and revenge. Let us reject the temptation of authoritarian shortcuts. Let us rebuild a democracy rooted not in fear, but in faith, not in control, but in consent. The strength of Bangladesh has never been its rulers. It has always been its people. If we can ensure that every Bangladeshi can vote freely, speak freely, and live freely, then the dream of 1971 will not remain a dream. It will become our daily reality. This nation cannot afford the crisis that would arise if upcoming elections in Bangladesh were disrupted by any form of conspiracy. The international community, Bangladesh's friends, supporters, donors, and all who wish to see the country thrive as a truly democratic state would also be affected in one way or another. Let us move together from rule by power to rule of law, from despair to hope, from silence to voice, for only then can we truly say, this is the Bangladesh we were meant to be, democratic, just, and free. For listening to me, thank you very much all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anwar Hussain, for your wonderful speeches. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Miftauddin Chaudhry, retired judge of High Court Division of the Honorable Supreme Court of Bangladesh, to present his valuable speech. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable guests and the diplomats present here. Today, we are discussing about the rule by power or rule of law. Let us see or discuss what is the rule by power. It is rule by power truly means, as we presume or understand, that governing the country or governing the society by the party in power or the person in power without bothering the laws of the land, and by dictating the administration and judiciary. Before we speak of restoration, we must first understand what is the meaning of rule of law. In last more than 1.5 decades, Bangladesh experienced the rule by power, not the rule of law. As a retired judge, during my service as a judge, I have experienced some occasions which are unnatural. The last government is interested to publish that Bangladesh became a good field for terrorists, and for nothing, for without any reason, they like to arrest some persons, some billion persons, and confine them in some cells, and after a long time they used to produce them before the court. Though, as per the law, a person being arrested must be produced before the nearest court within next 24 hours. As I remember, a person who is from North Sindhi, and he is teacher of a English school, and he obtained his degrees from Australia and Sweden. He was arrested by police. His wife went to the police station to know about him or his condition. The police did not reply anything. He went to the Home Minister, find no reply. Even she went to the Prime Minister, Division Prime Minister, but find no reply. And after a few months, after more than 3 months, he was produced before the court saying that with the allegation that he is a terrorist. Another person, as I remember, he was arrested from Kiragan. And after 3 months, he was shown as arrested in Kalabagan bus station in Dhaka and produced before the court. Then I asked the Attorney General how it can be happened. Then the Attorney General replied, "My Lord, if you write something about this police officer, he will be dismissed from service." That was the reply. You all are speaking and addressing the House with written speech, but I am sharing my experience. Moreover, As we have seen in 2014, there was no election. Elections mean participation of all parties, or a good number of parties, contest of a good number of parties. But in 1914, we find no contest. In 2018, the election was held in the night, not in the day, when the date of election was fixed. However, the last government, which was members of which was fled away with good numbers of good amount of money, they ruled the country without bothering the law of the land. They tried to control the judiciary. They tried to control the judges, even the judges of the higher judiciary. Today, I am sorry to say that an important judgment about a leader of this country was obtained by threat. A judge was compelled to sign that, which he or she did not agree, but could not agree. But the judge was compelled. However, this is our experience. These are the days we overcome. Now, I like to say what is the rule of law. What we mean the rule of law. The rule of law means the country or the society should be run as per the law. And in a democratic society, rule of law is necessary. As per the rule of law, the Constitution is the main thing to be followed. Our Constitution guaranteed us our fundamental rights, but in practical life, we found no application of those articles provided in our Constitution. Now, after the change made by a bloodshed, we expect that this country will govern by rule of law, not by rule of power. And with that expectation, the country is going for election, and we believe the next election will be free and fair. I think I should now say more. And as the students of law in here, most of the lawyers are students of English law, only with 3 persons. I myself, the learned professor, and Mr. Salahuddin. We are students of the School of Law, University of Dhaka. We are not students of English law. So as per the English law, as per Professor A.V. Dicey, a famous jurist, the rule of law it means the supremacy of law. Second, equality before the law, and that the rights of individuals should flow from ordinary law, not from the discretionary will of rulers. We believe that in future, we shall not be guided, we shall not be governed, or we shall not be controlled by the discretion of the rulers, but as per the rule of law. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to open the floor for some questions and comments for the moment. Usually go back to esteemed speakers. Please feel free to ask questions or make any comments in addition. Please, thank you.
Lara from the Australian High Commission. I just wanted to confirm in this discussion about from rule by power to rule of law that the recommendations that came out of the Media Reform Commission to protect journalists' rights would be upheld under BNP leadership.
Thank you for the question. It's a very touching question, and a lot of people that we use to do this sort of seminar, they keep on asking these sort of questions. If you have read our 31 points of the state reform, we categorically mentioned what we promised and what we intend to do. So, of course, I can clearly say on behalf of BNP and that we ensure, we make sure that it's a rule of law, not rule by power. And how we will achieve it and what we intend to do is clearly stated in the 31 points. Because you see, of what Bangladesh has suffered or what Bangladesh has gone through in the last 17 years of the Aoui regime, it was a total lawlessness, and it was, as we mentioned in the banner of the title of this seminar, it was rule by power. So we don't want to revisit that area because we have seen the consequences. And of course, before the 5th of August has happened, we have done this and we have committed, I think in 2015, around July, that we need to be able to take this. And we are very much committed to sort of establish the proper rule of law so that we don't suffer later on, because no government is permanent in Bangladesh. So every 5 years we will have an election when people have the right to choose differently. So if we have not started what we promised, I don't think after the 5 years even people would re-elect us to run this country. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just supplementing Vice Chancellor, basically under the Constitution, Article 39 is granted every citizen, including the journalist, freedom of expression, freedom of thought, and freedom of consciousness. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party (BNP) always believed in rule of law. And in our tenure, for example, 1999 to 1996, 2001 to 2006, not any journalist was behind the bar because of their news item. We firmly believe, freedom of expression and freedom of thought. Under the Constitution, it is granted, and we will be governed by the highest law of the country, which is Constitution. And that Constitution protects every single citizen, and we will abide by the constitutional provisions. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? No?
Thank you. I'm Mahajan, Advisor to Acting Chairman BNP. As the name says in our title, right, there is a rule by power over the last 16 years. We saw an autocratic government whose power didn't stem from the people, it came from the state apparatus. So the power came from the judiciary, from law enforcement agencies, from administration, from anti-corruption commission, from election commission, and other bodies. So essentially, in this democratic journey, the BNP as the largest political party want to believe that the next Bangladesh, through an electoral government, will thrive through the rule of law, where the power will come from the people. The very essence of transparency and accountability that we need to promote through removing the culture of impunity. BNP is not just the largest political party, we remain the largest party in terms of human rights violations. You go by any number, whether it's for infant disappearances, custodial deaths, fictitious cases, destructions of houses, by any number, whether it's in the past 16 years or even the mass uprising last year, BNP is a largest victim. We have our standing committee member, Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed here. He himself was subjected to infant disappearances. Every member in the room who is affiliated with BNP, whether here or abroad, was subjected to fictitious cases. So we don't want that culture to return in Bangladesh anymore. Together, we want to build a Bangladesh where they will be more inclusive, drawing the aspiration of the pro-democracy stakeholders, and that's why our leader, Mr. Tareq Rahman, has repeatedly said the commitment of BNP is to forge a Bangladesh based on human rights, freedom of expression, and the rule of law. So we want to remove the culture of impunity and build the culture of accountability. We remain the biggest political party. So our responsibility is the most, and we believe with a public mandate, through electoral process, an election that will be free, fair, and faithful. After many years, people will be able to vote. And if we form the government with that public mandate, we'll ensure their aspirations are reflected in our good governance. So every place that we meet, that we've already expressed in our 31-point charter, that is to build the Bangladesh with the essence and the fundamentals of democracy. So once the election is held in February, we believe with the support of the international community, the stakeholders like yourselves, will be able to fulfill the public aspiration and take the country forward with development that's truly inclusive, with a country where we can truly ensure fairness, equality, and justice. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
Thank you, Marty. Is there any more questions?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahdi Amin. Now, I would like to call upon the stage Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed, the Member Standing Committee, to present his valuable speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Still, this is good morning. Honorable Chair, Excellencies, diplomats from various missions, participants, all the leaders, one retired justice, professors, ladies and gentlemen, friends from the press. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In fact, I'm highly honored to be invited here, and I take this opportunity to talk these highly dignified participants. Although I'll speak in Bengali in the last part, and I will not speak much. First of all, the headline from rule by power to rule of law. It should be rule, not misrule, from misrule to rule of law. This should be misrule to rule of law. misrule and tyranny to rule of law, and to make it ensure what is the proposals from our party and all other democratic parties, and what are the proposals we have placed before the nation, before the people, before the Consensus Commission, and before you, before the whole world. Number one, that is, we formed 31-point reforms proposals in the year 2023 and launched it on the day 13th of July 2023 publicly and announced by our acting chairperson, Mr. Tariq Rahman. Unfortunately, I was one of the authors of this 31 point, and we made it clear that we want democratic reforms of all state structures, democratic constitutional reforms, state systems, mechanisms, with an ambition or aim to achieve the economic liberty for our nation, and also for the public accountability. And I hope all of you have the English version or Bangla version of this 31 point. If not, I would request our leaders to supply it immediately. I hope you have gone through. It's because I met one retired permanent secretary of UK and one right honourable member of House of Lords in the UK. They asked me about the point 29, that why didn't you raise it to number 1? So I asked him that, my lord, what is in 29 point? This is climate change, environment issues, etc. Then I reacted, look, in our country, number 1 priority is to ensure food, clothes, education, health, and etc. and other fundamental rights to be ensured by the state. But in your country, in the European countries and in one first world countries, the environmental issues, the first issues to be ensured for the citizen. We know it. Then he said, oh yes. So just I was astonished that a member of House of Lords, a permanent secretary in the UK, he has gone through this 31 point. This is how we made it global. So, on the issues or the headlines we are addressing today, I will just focus on that shortly. To ensure the rule of law in our country, we are committed to ensure the complete independence of the judiciary, which is uttered in our book, in our 31 point. And for that, we made certain reform proposal. Number 1, to ensure the higher judiciary non-partisan and to ensure accountability, transparency, and also to ensure the accountability of the judges of the higher judiciary. Will strengthen the provision of Article 96 uttered in our Constitution, which is Supreme Judicial Council, and on the basis of that provision, we propose to enact one enactment in the Parliament later, based on 96 article. We are committed to ensure the ensure to place the lower judiciary, I mean subordinate judiciary, in the hand of Supreme Court. And for that matter, one separate secretariat will be established in the Supreme Court. But there is a condition. Before that, we need to clean all the judges, those who were put in the upper judiciary by the partisan region, by the fascist in the past, and also in the lower judiciary. Keeping them there, maintaining a status quo, we will simply ensure the independence of the judges, not the judiciary. This is a clear message. And number 3, we have a proposal to take back, to replace, to reinstate the non-partisan caretaker government, and also to establish one upper house for a check and balance. And we have already taken in our consensus commission a provision to establish completely independent election commission, which would be formed by a committee comprising of position, opposition, and judiciary. So these are the provisions we are going to have in our Constitution and in any other laws, not everything in the Constitution, to ensure the rule of law in our country and to ensure the democratic and constitutional institutions be based on the firm foundation. So in future, this will act as the safeguard of the democracy. And also, some of the participants, you asked one question on the freedom of press. It's very important. We believe, like any other first country national, where freedom of press has been ensured and very much acting to ensure the democracy in that country and to strengthen the democratic institution in that country. And this is a role, this is a theory, not even hypothesis, where the liberty of the press and freedom of press is ensured, the democracy is very active, strong, and active there. So by now, you have seen that press is working very freely and they're enjoying the liberty. Even then there is some dark and gray areas in our country, even now in interim government. I don't like to disclose all other things there. So we need to clean all those dark areas in future. So I'd like to sum up in this point that for ensuring the rule of law in our country, we need to have a democratically transparent, pure election. We need to establish the election commission to be completely independent. We need to establish the caretaker government in place, and we need to establish complete independence of the judiciary and freedom of press. This is not our hope. This is our commitment. And we placed all those proposals in our 31 point, and we are uttering our voices in every sphere of life, in public meeting, in the conference, in our press statement, in everywhere. So, ladies and gentlemen, I like to conclude with hope and aspiration that is expressed in our July Mass Uprising. We must uphold all those aspirations, commitments, and our proposals, hopes, etc. We are bound to that. আমি এখন বাংলা বলতে পারি? কালকে জাতীয় ঐক্যমত্য কমিশনের পক্ষ থেকে সুপারিশ প্রদান করা হয়েছে সরকারকে। I know some of you also understand Bangla. তার মধ্য দিয়ে আমরা কিছু সত্য আবিষ্কার করতে পেরেছি। এতদিন আমরা মনে করতাম জাতীয় ঐকমত্য কমিশন রেফারির ভূমিকা পালন করছে বা ফ্যাসিলিটেটরের ভূমিকা পালন করছে। কালকে যে সুপারিশ তারা সরকারের কাছে প্রদান করেছে তার মধ্যে অবশ্য একজন দস্তখতকারী মাননীয় প্রধান উপদেষ্টাও বটে জাতীয় ঐক্য কমিশনের সভাপতি হিসেবে। তো সুতরাং সেটা এক পক্ষে সরকারেরও একটা এন্ডোর্সমেন্ট হয়, জাতীয় ঐক্যমত্য কমিশনের পক্ষ থেকে তো বটেই। কিন্তু রেফারিকে আমরা কখনো গুল দিতে দেখিনি। যাই হোক, যে প্রপোজালসগুলো এবং সুপারিশগুলোর মধ্যে মোট সংযুক্তি সহ 94 পৃষ্ঠার একটা দলিল, তার মধ্যে প্রধান উপদেষ্টাকে উদ্দেশ্য করে চিঠি লেখা হয়েছে। ওখানে প্রধান উপদেষ্টা নিজেই দস্তখত করেছেন ঐকমত্য কমিশনের সভাপতি হিসেবে। তো বলা যায় সরকার এবং ঐকমত্য কমিশন তো মূলত একই। আর ঐকমত্য কমিশনের সাথে আলোচনার সময় আমার মনে হয়েছে ঐকমত্য কমিশন, সরকার এবং আরো 2-3টি দল তারা বোধহয় এক পক্ষ, আমি বিপক্ষেই খেলছিলাম মনে হয়। তো সেই হিসেবে জাতির পক্ষেই দায়িত্ব পালন করার আমরা চেষ্টা করেছি। কিন্তু আমার কেন জানি মনে হয়েছে কিছু দলের প্রস্তাব এবং ঐক্য কমিশনের নিজস্ব চিন্তা ভাবনা জাতির উপরে জবরদস্তি আরোপিত করার একটা প্রচেষ্টা লক্ষ্য করেছি। আমি আজকে এই কথাগুলো এই জন্যই বলতে বাধ্য হচ্ছি, কারণ যে দলিলটা প্রকাশিত হয়েছে সেই দলিলটা 94 পৃষ্ঠা আপনারা লক্ষ্য করে দেখবেন যে ওখানে ঐকমত্য কমিশনে যেভাবে ঐকমত্যে পৌঁছা গিয়েছে এবং যে দলিলটা 17 তারিখে অক্টোবরের পার্লামেন্টের সাউথ প্লাজায় ঐতিহাসিক অনুষ্ঠানের মাধ্যমে স্বাক্ষরিত হয়েছে, সেই দলিলটা হুবহু ওখানে নেই। শুধু আছে ঐকমত্য কমিশনের প্রস্তাব। রাজনৈতিক দলগুলোর যে সুপারিশ এবং ঐকমত্য হলো, কিভাবে হলো, নোট অফ ডিসেন্ট কোথায় কোথায় আছে, কোনো কিছুরও সেখানে উল্লেখ নেই। 48টা দফা সংবিধানের বিভিন্ন রকমের সংশোধনের প্রস্তাব সহকারে তারা আদেশ ওখানে আদেশের মধ্যে তফসিল হিসেবে সংযুক্ত করেছে, বলেছে এগুলোর উপরে গণভোট হবে। তো তাই যদি হতো 11 মাস বা 12 মাস ধরে এই কসরত কেন করা হলো জাতীয় ঐকমত্য কমিশনে? কেন মাননীয় প্রধান উপদেষ্টা ভাষণ দিয়েছিলেন জাতির উদ্দেশ্যে যে ঐকমত্য কমিশন গঠন করা হয়েছে, তার আগে সংস্কার কমিশন 6টা গঠন করা হয়েছে, তাদের সাথে আমাদের আলোচনা হয়েছে। সেই আলোচনার প্রেক্ষিতে পরে সমস্ত দলের রিকমেন্ডেশনস এবং তাদের রিকমেন্ডেশন জনগণের পক্ষ থেকে যে সমস্ত প্রস্তাব এসেছে সবগুলো মিলে একটা কম্পাইলড রিপোর্ট করে তার উপরে জাতীয় ঐকমত্য কমিশন কথা বলেছে সমস্ত রাজনৈতিক দলের সাথে। জাতীয় ঐকমত্য কমিশনের সভাপতি হিসেবে মাননীয় প্রধান উপদেষ্টা নিজে সেটা প্রকাশ করেছেন যে এখানে রাজনৈতিক দলগুলো যে সমস্ত বিষয়ে ঐকমত্য পোষণ করবে সেগুলো সংকলিত করে একটা জুলাই জাতীয় সনদ হবে, সেটা স্বাক্ষরিত হবে এবং সেটা পরবর্তী পার্লামেন্টে বাস্তবায়ন হবে। বিফোর দ্যাট যেগুলো অর্ডিন্যান্স এবং এক্সিকিউটিভ অর্ডারে বাস্তবায়ন করা সম্ভব সেগুলো সরকার করবে। এই ছিল প্রস্তাব। 31শে জুলাই দ্বিতীয় দফার আলোচনা শেষ করার পরে যখন জুলাই সনদ প্রায় পাকাপোক্ত হলো এবং প্রণয়ন হওয়ার আগ পর্যন্ত যে সমস্ত বিষয়ে ঐকমত্য হলো, সেই দিন হঠাৎ করে বললো এটা বাস্তবায়নের জন্য 2-1টা দলের পক্ষ থেকে বলা হলো বাস্তবায়নের জন্য আইনানুগ ভিত্তি চাই, বাস্তবায়নের গ্যারান্টি চাই। তা আমরা বললাম ঠিক আছে, সনদ প্রণীত হোক, বাস্তবায়নের উপায়, আইনানুগ ভিত্তি, গ্যারান্টির জন্য কি করা যায় সেই জন্য আরও আলোচনা হতে পারে। তারপরে আমরা আলোচনায় অংশগ্রহণ করলাম, আরও অনেক দিন আলোচনা হলো। আলোচনার পরে নির্ধারিত হলো, আমিই প্রস্তাব দিয়েছিলাম আমাদের দলের পক্ষ থেকে যে এই জুলাই জাতীয় সনদ প্রণীত হোক, সেটা বাস্তবায়নের জন্য আমরা একটা প্রজ্ঞাপনের মধ্য দিয়ে গেজেট নোটিফিকেশন করতে পারি। তার ভিত্তিতে এগুলো গ্রহণ করার পক্ষে জাতি আছে কি নাই, জুলাই জাতীয় সনদ যেভাবে প্রণীত হয়েছে সেই একটি প্রশ্নে গণভোট হতে পারে, একই দিনে হতে পারে। এবং সেই গণভোট কেন একই দিনে হবে সেই যুক্তি আমরা দিয়েছিলাম, যাতে ভোটারদের অংশগ্রহণ বাড়ে, যেহেতু প্রার্থীরা ভোটারদেরকে নিয়ে আসবে এবং একই দিনে একই খরচায় একই আয়োজন হয়ে যাবে ছোট্ট একটা ব্যালটের মাধ্যমে। আমরা তখন সেই প্রস্তাব দিয়েছিলাম। 2-1টি দল বাদে বাকি সবাই সেই প্রস্তাবে একমত ছিল এবং তারপরেও সেটা নিয়ে পরবর্তীতে আরও আলাপ আলোচনার জন্য কয়েকটি দল বলল সরকার সেটা পরে আরও আলাপ আলোচনা করবে। জাতীয় ঐকমত্য কমিশন তাদের সুপারিশে দুই দিকেই ওপেন রেখে তাদের সুপারিশ দিয়েছে, আগে অথবা পরে গণভোট হতে পারে এই ইস্যুর উপর। এখন মূল প্রশ্ন সেটা নয়, যার উপরে গণভোট হবে জুলাই জাতীয় সনদ যেটা স্বাক্ষরিত হয়েছে সেটা তো এই সনদে নাই, সেটা গতকালকের সুপারিশের মধ্যে নাই। আছে হলো যে সমস্ত প্রস্তাব ঐকমত্য কমিশন এবং দুই একটি দল দিয়েছিল, সেই প্রস্তাবগুলো যেন ওনারা সরাসরি ওই আদেশের মধ্যে, খসড়া আদেশের মধ্যে তারা অন্তর্ভুক্ত করলো। তফসিল হিসাবে বলা হলো এই 48টা দফার উপরে গণভোট হতে হবে। এখন সেই আলাপ তো হয়নি আমাদের সাথে। ঐকমত্য কমিশনে ঐকমত্য হয়েছে উইথ নোট অফ ডিসেন্ট সার্টেন পয়েন্টসে, যে সমস্ত রাজনৈতিক দলগুলো এই সমস্ত নোট অফ ডিসেন্ট দিয়েছে সেই সমস্ত নোট অফ ডিসেন্টগুলো তারা ইশতেহারে, নির্বাচন ইশতেহারে উল্লেখ করবে। আপনারা দেখুন সেই ছাপানো বই যেটা আছে সেই ইশতেহারে উল্লেখের পরে যদি জনগণের ম্যান্ডেট প্রাপ্ত হয় সেগুলো তারা সেভাবে বাস্তবায়ন করবে। তো জাতীয় ঐকমত্য কমিশনের উদ্দেশ্য ছিল ঐকমত্য প্রতিষ্ঠা করা। এখন এখানে এসে এই অবস্থায় জাতীয় ঐকমত্য কমিশন যে সমস্ত প্রস্তাব দিয়েছে সেখানে শুধু জাতিতে বিভক্তি হবে, অনৈক্য হবে এবং এখানে কোনো ঐকমত্য হবে না। এর ভিত্তিতে তারা কি অর্জন করতে চায় আমরা জানি না। এবং যে সমস্ত প্রস্তাব নির্বাচন কমিশন থেকেও একটা অধ্যাদেশে আরপিওতে এসছে তাতেও আমরা লক্ষ্য করেছি যে উদ্দেশ্যমূলকভাবে নির্বাচন সংস্কার সংক্রান্ত কমিশনের একটি অনালোচিত প্রভিশন সেখানে অন্তর্ভুক্ত করে আরপিও অর্ডিন্যান্সটা পাশ হয়েছে, সেটা এখন অর্ডিন্যান্স হওয়ার অপেক্ষায় আছে। যেমন জোটভুক্ত যে কোনো রাজনৈতিক দল তাদের স্বাধীনতা ছিল নিজস্ব প্রতীকে অথবা জোটের যে কোনো প্রতীকে নির্বাচন করতে পারবে। হঠাৎ করে তারা একটা অগণতান্ত্রিক পদ্ধতিতে বলে দিল যে জোটভুক্ত হলেও তাদের নিজস্ব প্রতীকেরই নির্বাচন হতে হবে। দেখলাম আরেকটি রাজনৈতিক দল তাকে সমর্থন করে যাচ্ছে। তো এটা পক্ষপাতমূলক আচরণ আমরা আশা করি না। আমরা অন্তর্বর্তী সরকারকে তত্ত্বাবধায়ক সরকারের ভূমিকায় দেখতে চাই। তারা যেন নিরপেক্ষভাবে আচরণ করে এবং তাদের সমস্ত কর্মকাণ্ডে যেন জাতি একটা আশ্বস্ত হতে পারে, ঐক্য থাকতে পারে, সেভাবেই যেতে হবে। আমরা তাদের ঐকমত্য কমিশনের এবং সরকারের বিভিন্ন পদক্ষেপে আজকে এখানে এসে হতাশা ব্যক্ত করছি। ধন্যবাদ। তোমরা এগুলো সরাও না কেন? বক্তৃতা দেওয়ার সময় খালি এগুলো গন্ডগোল করে। একটু কাগজগুলো দাও আমাকে, এখন একটু বিদায় করে দাও।
Thank you so much, Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed, for your wonderful and valuable speeches. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Nasiruddin Oshim to give the closing remark of today's roundtable. Thank you so much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman. Assalamu alaikum. It's still a very good morning. Thank you very much to be here. I'm extremely delighted with my team, the Foreign Relations Committee of Bangladesh Nationalist Party. We do have Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed, National Standing Committee member, and a victim of forced disappearance today here. So we have gone through, for the last couple of years, I would say, more than 1.5 decades. And I thank Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed to correct us that instead of rule by power, he asserts misrule, from misrule to rule of law. Basically, the rule of power dates back to era of Aristotle. And in 1885, as Mr. Justice Miftauddin Ahmed said, referred, Albert Dices, the great, he referred to the, I would say that he referred to the book, An Introduction to the Study of the Law of Constitution. Everyone is equal before the law. No one can be punished unless they are in clear breach of law. And set of laws are above the courts. So those things, after evolution, through the evolution process, we achieved rule of law. But in Bangladesh, we have witnessed for the last couple of years, there was rule, misrule. Now, as Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed referred, as he referred to the Constitutional Reform Committee, the National Consensus Committee, what they are pressing before the nation, that is, it sounds as we can hear the echo of rule of power again. That is, the king can exercise everything. He can make and unmake any law whatsoever. So this is not acceptable. As one of our friends from the diplomatic mission, we have got some challenges. As I have outlined, some of them are, how can we ensure democracy? The challenges, those are severely critical. That is, restoring electoral integrity, ensuring free, fair and participatory elections under a neutral authority, strengthening the judiciary, so that the justice is independent and not guided by the political influence. Rebuilding institutions, such as Parliament, Election Commission, and media must act as checks, not instruments of power. Protecting civil liberties, that is, freedom of speech, press, and assembly as lifeblood of democracy. And finally, ending of impunity, both political and administrative, to re-establish public faith in the rule of law. As I have outlined some challenges, but at the same time, I would say that the true democracy demands that the government operate under the law, not above it. However, the rule of law in Bangladesh has been undermined. It should have been, the government or power should have been exercised under the law. The power and government was above the law. So the government, they were practicing, they were exercising their power, and that undermined the rule of law. How can we achieve our target as Bangladesh Nationalist Party? As a team, we had conversation with our acting chairperson, Mr. Tariq Rahman. And from that perspective, I would say that how can we achieve these ends? Making the judiciary independent, where diverse, competent and independent lawyers and judges will work with personal and substantive independence. Initiating a more inclusive and participatory lawmaking process that will produce fair, publicized, broadly understood and stable laws. Amending and ameliorating the current legal process to make it fair, robust and accessible. In conclusion, I would say that we will take every possible steps to ensure that the central institutions of the legal system, including the courts, prosecutors and police, are reasonably fair, competent and efficient, and also judges are impartial and independent, not subject to political influence or manipulation. We have agreed, as Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed is here, the National Consensus Commission, on behalf of Bangladesh Nationalist Party, Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed has been representing Bangladesh Nationalist Party. And I would say we have agreed with all major reform proposals proposed by the various reform commissions established by the interim government, particularly the proposals of the Judiciary Reform Commission. Towards our journey to rule of law, we are eager to ensure judicial independence, establish career-based permanent attorney service and independent investigation agency, improve ADR and legal aid service, strengthen Human Rights Commission, and review all the discriminatory legal provisions. We have experienced an unhealthy and fascist obsession with packing the judiciary for blatant partisan purposes, merged with more troubling efforts to attack elections and voting. We are determined to break the cycle. And I again take the opportunity to thank you all and the friends from the press and distinguished speakers and the dignitaries, excellencies from the different diplomatic missions. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nasiruddin Al-Shim, for your closing remark. For decades, the selective and abusive application of laws, political interference in the judiciary process, the misuse of legal instruments have undermined the full realization of constitutional guarantees. Law enforcement has timely acted beyond its mandate, and the citizens, particularly the Bangladesh have faced delays and obstacles in seeking justice. This created a society where power rather than justice guided outcomes, a situation inconsistent with the principles of a robust democracy. However, public protests challenged the entrenched rule by power, weakening authoritarian structures. The July uprising of 2024 was not just a protest. It was a collective cry for justice, equality, and the restoration of human dignity. It was a movement that transcended generations, uniting students, activists, and citizens from all walks of life in a shared vision for a better Bangladesh. Now, we stand at the crossroad of opportunity and responsibility after the historic July uprising that has reshaped the very fabric of our society. The essence of governance under the rule of law is clear. Power exists to serve justice, and justice exists to protect citizens of the country. When laws are applied equitably and when no one, be they a government official or citizen, is immune from accountability, democracy thrives. Conversely, when the rule of law is compromised by arbitrary power, inequality, and corruption, democratic transitions risk being superficial, failing to protect life, liberty, and property. It implies that the journey from rule by power to rule of law is neither easy nor immediate. Thus, the transition emphasizes that democracy consolidation is a multidimensional process where legal codification, institutional reforms, and free and fair election must coverage to replace historical patterns of autocratic power. After the general election, if Bangladesh Nationalist Party is entrusted with the responsibility to form the government, we are committed to materialize required constitutional reforms with a view to ensuring proper balance between power of the President and the Prime Minister, balance within the legislature by creating an upper house of the Parliament and also the independence of judiciary. Let us strive collectively as government, civil society, political parties, and citizens to transform our Constitution's vision into reality. Only through the rule of law can Bangladesh ensure that freedom, equality, and justice are not just aspirations on paper, but lived experiences for every individual, securing our nation's democratic future for generations to come. Thank you so much, everyone, to be here today. Now, I would like to introduce the name of my team, the Foreign Affairs team of BNP. We 9 are here for your cooperation always. I am Farzana Sharmin, the member of Foreign Affairs Committee, and I have with us a big enlightened team, Mr. Anindo Islam Oshim, Mr. Kaisar Kamal, Mr. Mir Helal, Mr. Israfil Khosru, Mr. Mahdi Amin, Mr. Ishraq Hussain, Mr. Nasiruddin Oshim. So from my team, I would like to convey my gratitudes and gratefulness to all of you, and thanks for being here today. We are looking forward to be with us for our next seminar in another topic. Thank you so much, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Ladies and gentlemen, please don't go away. We have provisions for lunch, so please bear with us.